Hey guys, thanks for stopping by Rough Riders TV. We're back with another how-to or DIY video on the Acura MDX. Now, the Acura MDX is known for its safety features and reliability in the SUV class. It's a really great car. But part of that story of reliability is dependent upon staying on top of routine maintenance. So today we're going to be doing a step-by-step video for you on how to do a drain and fill on the front transfer case. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at the tools that are needed and start this job. Okay, tools you need for the front transfer case. You're going to want some wheel chocks to keep the car from moving on you. You're going to want some jack stands to get the car up off the ground enough so you can get underneath there and work easily and stuff like that. Then you need tools to get the metal shield off, which means you need a 10mm socket, as well as either a ratchet or a drill motor with the socket attachment for the 10mm bolts. There's also a Phillips head screwdriver, so you need a Phillips head screw, so you need a driver bit and a driver or a Phillips head screwdriver. There's a number of push pins underneath, so you need a set of push pin pliers or a screwdriver. A breaker bar and a torque wrench to get the filler and drain bolts out. Then you need your gear oil. The specifications call for I think it's 75, 80 or 80 weight conventional. I'm using Mobil 1 synthetic 75/90. It's up to you what you prefer to use in the transfer case, but that's what I'm using in this particular case. So that's pretty much everything you need to get this job done, and you know, let's get started. Since the Acura doesn't have a ton of ground clearance, we're going to go ahead and jack the car up and put it on jack stands. Now remember, safety first, so I've already set the emergency brake on the car as well as chocked the rear wheel so I can jack the front up and get the jack stands under the car. And then I'll go to the back and jack that up and put that on jack stands as well. Now I want the car sitting nice and level. Another thing that I've already done is I took the car for a drive this morning so that I could heat up the fluids a little bit, so that way they'll come out a little bit easier. Now if you do that, I mean, that's just my preference. You don't have to do it, but you know, it does help the fluid flow out a little bit easier. So you know, that's why I go ahead and do that. But remember that if you do that, you're going to be working with hot components under there, so you know, exercise caution and be careful. So I'm going to use this point right here to jack the front up. You can see right here the car has a spot to hook up to set the jack stands on, so that's your jack point. For the rear, I'm going to jack up using this point right here. Now, as I said, I want the car sitting as close to level as I can get. My driveway is not completely flat, it's on an incline, so I'm using the jack stands to try and get as close to level as I can. So to get to the underside of the car, I've got to remove this metal plate, and it's held in place by some push pins, as well as a screw. See another push pin back there. There's a bolt here, a bolt over there, and as I come around, it looks like there's a couple push pins up here, and then a screw here. So there's a number of things that I've got to go ahead and pull off to get to that. So let's get that done next. And these are a little fragile, so they could break on you coming out. Okay, I'm using a clean drain pan because I want to be able to inspect the fluid as it comes out, check it for metal shavings and grit and grime and stuff like that to make sure everything's okay. Because if there's wear or there's something going on that may be indicative of a larger problem, I want to catch that now. Okay, with the cover off, I can now get to everything. You can see I've got the fill plug here, I've got the drain plug here on the transfer case. So I'm going to go ahead and break the fill plug first, because I want air to be able to get in there and allow the fluid to flow out easier. And two is I don't want to be in a position where if I can't, if I break this first and I can't get this loose and fill it back up, and I drain all this out, then I'm really stuck. So I'm going to go ahead and break this first. What I've got here is I've got a breaker bar with an extension on it. It's just a 3/8 inch socket attachment drive for the filler bolt. And let's see if I can actually get in here. With this, my breaker bar may actually be too long. I may have to just do it with a socket. So it's on there pretty good. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and break the drain plug, and now I can use my breaker bar. Okay. Okay, looking at the fluid, the old crush washer fell off. The fluid doesn't feel gritty or anything. Looks really clean. It actually looks to be in really good shape. So I don't see anything that's of concern. So let's go ahead and put the drain bolt back in and the filler bolt back in and start putting the fluid in. Okay, with everything drained, I'm going to clean this up. And put the drain bolt back in. I went ahead and threw a little anti-seize on the threads so that it won't freeze up on me next time I need to do this job. I put a new crush washer on there so that I can go ahead and put everything back together, and then I'm going to tighten it down to about 35 foot-pounds. And the reason why I chose 35 foot-pounds is because I couldn't find the specifications for this model MDX torque specifications online. So I went and looked at previous models. I looked at the MDX, the RDX, as well as the Honda Pilot, and the specs are about the same for all of them on the transfer case. It's between 33 and 36 foot-pounds, so I'm going to settle in at 35, and that should be pretty accurate. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and start filling this up with fluid. So to fill the new fluid up, I've transferred the gear oil into a small quart container. I cleaned it out really well before I did that, and then I attached this pump on the end, and we're going to use this to pump the new fluid in. So I just put the tube in, and then I just pump it in until it starts to drip out. And there you can see it's just now starting to drip out, so now we've got enough fluid in there. So now I can put the filler bolt back in. Alright, so with the right amount of fluid in there, I'm going to clean that off as well. I've already inspected the bolt, put the new crush washer on, and put the anti-seize on there. So now we can go ahead and put the filler bolt back in. Be careful not to cross thread anything. And then we're going to torque that down to 35 foot-pounds as well, for the same reason. and we're done. So now all we got to do is put everything back together and we're good to go. Okay, so there you go. That's all there is really to it. It's not a hard job at all. If you saw my videos on doing the front differential and rear differential or final drive on my YXZ, or even the transmission on the YXZ, it's pretty much the same process, whether I'm talking about my side-by-side or the MDX, or and my S2000 or my truck or anything else. These things all kind of work the same way. You just drain them out and refill them, and it's not a difficult job at all. So I'd encourage you to go tackle this stuff. It's not anybody can do it. And save yourself quite a bit of money versus taking it to a dealer or to a auto shop. This is all just typical routine maintenance stuff. So if you got any questions, please post them below. If you got any comments, any tips, any tricks from doing this job, please share that so others can learn. So I appreciate you guys stopping by, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. That helps me build the channel and helps me continue to bring more content to you guys. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.